Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Deliver Custom BI Experiences with Reveal. Your host, as usual, is Casey McGuigan, our product manager for Reveal. And of course, my name is Jason Barris, our Senior VP of Developer Tools at Infragistics. We are here to answer your questions and to help you get started with Reveal. Please let us know what's on your mind throughout the webinar. Use the chat and the Q&A to ask questions, make comments, etc., and we will answer all of them during the webinar. So today's agenda, customizing Reveal. We're going to look at 3 areas that you can customize Reveal. We're going to do a demo, and then we are going to wrap up. A little housekeeping, recording, and slides will be available after the webinar. Please ask questions, as I mentioned, in the chat and the window. Also, we have a poll after I get done with the demo. So please answer the poll, as it does inform and really help us guide the direction of Reveal. And of course, everything that we build is based on what you ask for. So your opinion and feedback is very important. So let's go ahead and get started. So customizing Reveal, the important thing to remember about Reveal is that it is an SDK. So it's meant to be embedded inside of your applications. This isn't a SaaS application. It's not something that you have an iframe maybe from another app that you're just trying to stick inside of your app. I look at it as like a bolt-on experience, which is bad, and then a built-in experience, which is good. This is a real built-in experience for your application. And that's really what we're trying to enable with Reveal. Our goal is to fit your theme and brand experience, but also your business model. So through customizations that you can do via the API, we enable you to not only have a dashboard self-service experience, but maybe a read-only experience, template-driven experience, etc. You can enable and disable features based on maybe what a user is paying, a tiered system that you've implemented in your own application to drive revenue. And that's what I mean about it fitting into your business model, because a lot of our customers are driving additional revenue, not only by adding Reveal as an add-on to their existing applications, but also through enabling features inside Reveal. This means there are multiple options available for you to customize the experience. So first of all, it's customization of the UI, which is enabling and disabling things or changing the way something might appear in an overflow or selection menu. And then there's theming and branding. So being able to change to one of our existing themes or being able to create a custom theme, which matches the brand experiences of you or your end user's brand. And then finally, localization. So not only our built-in localization options, but then overriding other UI elements on the page in terms of language and description to really customize what your users experience. So when we talk about customizing interactions, there's 2 areas where you change settings in Reveal. One of them is called the Reveal SDK settings object. So the Reveal SDK settings object is sort of like a global settings area. When you change something on the SDK settings object, it affects all of the Reveal views that are in your application. And then the Reveal view is basically the dashboard. So in your typical application, you create a div, you give that div an ID. In most of the samples I do, I call that ID for the div a Reveal view. And then you're setting properties on that Reveal view object through the Reveal view. This means you have things like showing and hiding menus, enabling or disabling the ability to copy or duplicate visualizations, allowing or disallowing export to Excel. These are all properties that you would set on the Reveal view. The thing to remember is both the Reveal SDK settings and the Reveal view properties are all client-side. So you can customize all of this on the client. You don't have to write any server code to deliver custom interactions on the client. Now, let's say you want to change what interactions are enabled and disabled based on maybe a login or a user role. You have that option because you already know the user logged in your application. You already have information about who they are, what their role is. And based on that, you can set anything that you'd like in JavaScript to match the experience that you want to deliver for that particular user. The second area is the Reveal theme object. So using the Reveal theme object, you can use one of our built-in themes like Mountain Light, Mountain Dark, Ocean Light, Ocean Dark, or you can set your own custom theme properties. You can set font, background color, foreground color, rounded corners, visualization background, etc. to give your Reveal UI any type of brand experience that you want to match. We did a webinar on theming and branding not too long ago, so make sure to check out our YouTube page for that webinar because I did more of a deep dive on customizing how a Reveal UX can look. And then finally, getting or setting the localization. The Reveal ships with 13 language packs, but the nice thing is you can override any string or message string in the UI with custom code. Now, it's important to keep in mind that we don't localize your field values. So the names of the fields in your database, those can't be localized by us automatically. We do have server-side events that let you customize what those field labels are. And of course, we've done a webinar using the Reveal DOM or the document object model, which would also let you modify the dashboard object outside of Reveal to change what the labels and fields might say in the visualization editor. The localization process is normally handled by the browser. What you can do with Reveal is check what the browser locale is and set message strings to one of our 13 supported languages. And the nice thing is if you want to always display a specific language, you could override whatever locale is being rendered in the browser and force a language to display. So with that, let's take a look at a demo and see how all of this ties together. Okay, so what I thought I would do for today's webinar is kind of have a side-by-side screen. I wanted to make sure that the text in Visual Studio Code was readable, and I have a dashboard running here on the right-hand side. I'm running one of our servers in the cloud, and I'm just going to go ahead and walk through everything that's kind of happening here, and then I'm going to enable and disable some features just so you get a feel for how things work. One thing I do want to highlight is that at the Reveal GitHub site, if you go to SDK samples JavaScript, you're going to find all of the samples that really have everything to do with Reveal. I always mention this in every webinar, but it is kind of important that you go here and check things out. So like one of the things I'm not going to talk about today is single visualization mode. But if you want to learn about single visualization mode, go check out the single visualization mode samples. Localizing, I'm going to talk about localization, but if you want to learn more, there's more information here in this particular localization sample. The key thing that this sample has that I'm not going to show is how to create your own dictionary table and replace words that aren't part of a language pack, which is actually pretty sweet. I'm not going to go into that today, but it's in a sample. So this is why SDK samples JavaScript is so important, because there's so much good stuff there. And then the other thing that is really important is the Reveal docs. So here, if I go to the API JavaScript, this is where you see all of the key objects that matter. Like, so for example, supported locales, you can see here, these are our supported locales, and I'm going to show you how to use this today. But it's all here in the doc. So you've got the RV chart object, you've got the RV menu location, you've got the RV date filter type, you have all this good stuff. And this is where you would find out how to really use Reveal and get into it. So there's the dashboard object. As we scroll down, all of the things that you may have used, like the different data sources. So I'm going to go into some of this today, but use the docs, use the help, because it is pretty good, and things that aren't like so great in the docs, you will definitely find in SDK samples JavaScript. So let's go back to my dashboard here. This is a standard dashboard. So I have my minimize and maximize button that you're used to. When I maximize objects, I can change out the visualization type. This is different based on the type of visualization. So here you can see I have like donut, pie, and funnel. If I go to a different chart type like this stacked series, I have other options because I can change this out. Now, this is all from the end user perspective. I'm not in edit mode here, so this isn't going to save when I close the dashboard, but it will be something useful for the user, maybe just to look at the data at runtime. So here, let's go back to our normal display. The tooltips are our standard tooltip that have shipped in all of our previous releases. I'm going to show you how to update that today as well. So here, if I click on a data point, I get my drill down, and you can see that this will go and drill down, and I can now go drill up, etc. One thing you might have noticed is this is in Spanish. It's not in English. So I will show you how to change this back to English, or to change the localization strings to anything that you would like. So let's go to the left-hand side here and look at what this HTML file looks like. The first thing, actually, I'm going to scroll up a little bit. It's a standard HTML file. There's nothing special about this. In fact, it's as plain and simple as you can get. The body, I have the reveal view. I mentioned that in the slides. The reveal view is just a div. This is where the dashboard lives. This is where we're going to set all of the properties for everything that you see today. For my style, what I'm doing here is I'm getting the vertical height of the browser window minus 20 pixels. So the dashboard fits nicely within the browser. So that's just a technique you can use, and you can toy around with the minus 20, minus 25, however you want it to look. And then I'm taking up the full width of the browser window. We have 3 dependencies for JavaScript, a jQuery dependency, day.js, and then of course, this is the reveal JavaScript client. I'm using our global CDN. When you're doing development, you would probably have these files local because we have TypeScript files with it, and then all the local language packs. So you would, you could do it that way, or you could use the CDN. It doesn't really matter. So now in this script object, here is where we're going to spend our time today. In order for a revealed dashboard to load, it needs a server. So the server is what's asking for a dashboard from a specific location. It's checking security. It's going through all kinds of different server-side events and functions to make sure that you are allowed to see this dashboard, the right settings are on the dashboard, etc. Well, in this case, I am using a server at Reveal API, AzureWebsites.net. This is my free Azure instance. And you can see here is my Swagger Open API definition for that. I do have a bunch of dashboards up there. So if I click execute, you can see the list of all of the dashboards that I have up there, like healthcare, inventory, logistics, etc. So there's a lot of stuff up there that we can play with. But today we're really just going to use the crypto dashboard. And I kind of modified it so there's only a few things here, because it's really not about like all the stuff on a dashboard today. It's just more like, what are we doing to the dashboard? So let's take a look at a couple things here. As you saw, the locale, the localization, the file being set is being overridden. So in this case, I actually must not have hit save. So my localization that I really wanted here was Korean. I must have had Spanish and then not saved this file. So if I go ahead and save this, I'll do a Control S and let's do a refresh. We should see Korean now and not Spanish as our localization. So you can see it's very noticeable in certain areas, like a date dropdown and date filters. Because remember, we don't know your field name. So none of this, like your legend stuff or anything, actually gets localized because it's not localizable. But things like menu items can. So we localize everything that we possibly can. In this case, I had KO. And if I went back to our JavaScript library and we looked at our supported locales, you can see we have all of these guys. So if I did, for example, DE, and in fact, let's type that in. We'll hit Control S for save, go back. Let's see if that is correctly on the server, and it is. So our localization pack is up there, and you can see we have all of this localized to German. So normally you're not doing this. I'm just highlighting that you can. So let's go ahead and comment that out. The other thing that we can do is, of course, set a theme. Now, in this case, what I'm doing is I'm creating a new instance of the Mountain Dark theme. Now, I could just take the Mountain Dark theme and be done with it and not change anything about it. But what I want to do is not just take the Mountain Dark theme. I want to change the visualization background color and the dashboard background color of Mountain Dark to something else. So what you can do here is create a theme object, set properties on that theme, which override whatever happens to be in the default theme, and then set that theme to the reveal SDK settings.theme property. So in this case, we'll save this and I'll refresh my browser. everything is back to English. And now you can see that I've got a dark theme and I have customized my visualization colors to the different shades of gray and black, it looks like. Now, if I get rid of these two guys, let's go ahead and comment those out. We'll do a Control S. Let's see how big of a difference this makes. And it's quite a difference. So this is like a bluer black with a really dark blue background. Maybe it's black. I'm not sure. But anyway, overriding these is definitely having a profound effect on the look and feel. Now, if I change this to ocean dark and I save this, what you're going to notice is the background colors and all that stay the same, but the theme of the series is really what's changing here. So that has sort of a lighter oceany sort of feel. So it's a little bit different. Now, while I'm here, you'll notice as I hover with my tooltip, it looks good. But the tooltip, up until our most recent release, always stayed on the same horizontal plane, and it didn't give you drill down information. You actually have to click on a data point to get the drill down option. So what we did is we added a couple settings. One of them is enable actions on hover tooltip. And then the second one is on the dashboard level, interactive filtering enabled. So I'm going to uncomment this guy here. We'll hit save and we'll refresh this. And now look at the difference in the tooltip. So as I'm moving my mouse, the tooltip is active with wherever my mouse happens to be at on the column or on a pie slice. And you can see I have a filter option here. And also here, when I hover, I see the filter and the drill down without having to click on anything. So I can click drill down and that works great. And let me go drill up. Now here for filtering, we automatically enable filtering. Now I want to filter by Ethereum. The Ethereum filter shows up on the top and all of the visualizations on this dashboard are filtered by Ethereum. Now, if I close this filter, those dashboards go back to where they were. So in this case, if I want to filter by Bitcoin, now I can see that everything here is filtered by Bitcoin and Bitcoin is up here. Let's say we want to filter by August 2021. This will give me different values based on August 2021. So this is actually a really sweet feature, something you should check out if you haven't played around with it yet. Now let's go into some of these customizations on the UI. And in fact, let's go ahead and comment this like so we get back to a lighter theme. And the first one I'm going to look at are some dashboard level settings. I'm not going to go into all of these because they are in the docs and they're pretty straightforward. Most of it's just true and false. But what I want to highlight is, for example, we get a lot of customers that say, I don't want people to edit. Okay, so there is a couple options that you have here. One of them is you can just set can edit equal to false. So if I say reveal view, can edit equals false, and we refresh this guy, so we'll see our light theme, you'll notice that the edit menu goes away. But what happens if you don't want any of this stuff? You literally just want a read-only view of the dashboard. That's where reveal view.show menu equals false or true comes into play. So now when I refresh this, what you'll see is there's no menu at all over here. So the user can't do anything. They can't export to Excel or PowerPoint. It's literally just a template. Now, the other thing is, do you want your users to maximize visualizations, be able to change the way something looks, etc.? That's also an option here called can maximize. So let's see, I might have that down here under visualization specific options, can maximize visualizations. So, oh, nope, that's not the right one. Can maximize visualizations right here. So let's set this to false. So we'll do a Control S and let's do a refresh. And now there's nothing on that toolbar, it disappears. So this is truly a read-only dashboard, like literally a view-only dashboard. Now, let's say you don't want to go that extreme and you do want to show the menu, but you don't want to give editing capabilities. You also may want to customize exporting settings. So in this case, we have show export image, so export to Excel, export to PDF, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of people don't want the export to Excel option because literally you're just kind of handing over whatever happens to be in that visualization. Maybe it's okay to see a picture of it, but not the underlying data. So in this case, if we do a refresh, my menu is back. Here's my export, and you can see I have image, PowerPoint, and PDF, and there is no Excel, which means that this user can still get an image of a particular dashboard in a PowerPoint file or a PDF or an image, but they will not get the underlying data that goes into that particular dashboard. So let's go ahead and allow that again. And let's modify a couple of the edit properties. So I'm going to go back into can edit, and let's just set this equal to true. So now can edit equals true. Whoops. So let's take a look at some of the visualization editor options. So if I go into edit mode on this dashboard and I edit a specific visualization, everything here that you see in menu options, calculated field types, visualization, chart types in the chart chooser, what happens here in the overflow, can you add date, time, or other filters, etc. All of that is customizable through property settings. One thing to remember is that last week we did, or it was 2 weeks ago now, we did a webinar on customizing the chart dropdown here. So please refer to that to learn more or to refresh your memory on how to completely customize what's in that dropdown, as well as to add your own DIY visualizations. So let's modify a couple of these things. Let's go ahead and hide calculated fields. Let's hide data blending. Maybe we don't want folks to do that. This here is called a post-calculated field option. Over here is changing the ability to change your data source, like this edit button here. I actually think we can hide this refresh button too, because there is a show refresh up here that we might be able to test out. Let's do that. Let's just try that. What the heck? But anyway, let's go ahead and modify some of these. So let's disable calculated fields. Let's disable show change visualization. Let's disable show data blending. And let's disable show change data source. So let's modify these three options. The rest, well, we'll show the post calculated fields one too, which is this guy here. We will do that. So let's see how this affects it. So let's go ahead and save our Visual Studio Code. Let me close this out. Let's do a refresh. And let's go back into edit mode. I will click edit later, but you'll notice here we don't have our plus sign to add new calculated fields or modify fields. Over here, we don't have our post calculated field option. So our data blending is gone. Our post calculated fields, our add calculated fields. However, our show change data source is still here. So if I go to edit, and I go to edit, that does allow me to change the data source. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong property there. But anyway, the idea is that even within the editor itself, you can completely customize what's actually happening here with a particular edit experience. Now, there does come a point where if you're not allowing something like a calculated field or data blending, just make sure all of that is something that you're feeding when you're populating this list from the server. So of course you can completely control that yourself based on the data that you're passing down to the visualization editor, but make sure that you're not, like, again, stopping your user from actually being productive with doing any type of data analysis. And then finally, let's take a look at some of this visualization specific options. I did show a couple earlier, but we didn't look at can copy, can duplicate, show statistical functions, maximize. We did look at that. So let's go ahead and close this out, get out of edit mode, and let's get rid of show statistical functions. And remember, show statistical functions is if I'm here, actually, let's go to this visualization. This globe here is our statistical functions guy. We already did the hide maximize visualization. You'll notice here we still can't export to Excel because we turned that off. Duplicate visualization. So here, if I'm in edit mode let me go to edit mode, a dashboard. This option here, copy and duplicate. So I want to hide those options. So let's go ahead and hide copy. We'll hide duplicate, and hover tooltips we do have enabled. Crosshairs we don't have enabled. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's just do a refresh on this. And let's see, you can see now I have crosshairs enabled on the line chart. They're only enabled on certain chart types, so the line chart would be one of them. You can maybe see it a little better here. You have the crosshair for more precision. But now that you have the tooltip that really does follow where you're at, the crosshairs maybe aren't as important. But let's go into edit mode. There is no copy visualization, duplicate visualization. Those guys are gone. Let's close this out again and maximize this. And you can see that I have the, oh, there we go. I'm sorry. You'll notice something else is missing here. The show change visualization option is missing because that's where that is. So I'm sorry, I was looking at it in the wrong spot. That button that I showed you earlier, which allows me would allow me to change this line chart to maybe a spline or a step chart or whatever, that's missing, as well as my statistical functions button. So I'm disabling that as well. So all in all, I've modified a bunch of different settings here. Again, this is unnecessary if you are giving a complete self-service BI do-it-yourself experience. Where all of this becomes important is if you really want to maybe modify your business model, modify the types of users that are allowed to do certain things. So, you can go ahead and customize this as much as you want. And maybe a couple other ones now that I kind of noticed here. Show header and show filters might be useful. This is the header area. This is the filters area. So if you get rid of this and you get rid of this, and well, might as well, let's get rid of show menu. Let's do a Control S and we'll refresh this. And you can see now we just have the dashboard taking up the full screen. So this sort of is truly like a really read-only experience. And then if we get rid of that maximize button, then there's really nothing you can do. So with that, we will stop all this examples here because a lot of it is really self-explanatory. It's just a matter of knowing where things are at. And you can even see today I got confused on a couple different areas. So you can experiment with this. You can use it to modify your business model. Keep in mind too, you can override the locale like I showed you. We did a whole webinar on theming and branding. I just scratched the surface on what you can do here, but you can really go to town on the whole theming and branding experience with Reveal. So with that, let's head back over to the slides. Okay, so as the poll is coming up and you hopefully start to answer some of those poll questions, hopefully you get a good idea of how you can customize Reveal, not only from a theming and branding and a localization experience, but also to customize all of the individual UX areas on the screen. You saw that you can get pretty granular in what you enable and disable for the users. And of course, take a look at the resources that I highlighted, like the GitHub repo and some of those help documents, because basically everything is online and in the docs and in a sample somewhere. So it's really easy to get started. And since I did everything in HTML, I'm just setting properties, mostly, true and false. So it wasn't that complex, but you can see that you do get a lot of power with that API on the client to customize the experience that you deliver in your dashboards. So what is your next step? Let's go ahead and download the Reveal SDK and get a trial license. So if you go to revealbi.io, download SDK, you will get an email with the trial license. It is a 30-day trial. We highly recommend that you do a somewhat managed POC where we do a kickoff with you. We understand your needs and we can really guide that POC experience. So within that 30-day period, if Reveal is a good fit for you. And of course, here's a link to the SDK samples JavaScript repository. You saw all the samples that were available there. That's where you should really start to find any information or any client and server example that demonstrates the power of Reveal and what you can do in your applications. So I want to thank everyone again. Please try Reveal today at revealbi.io. Shoot sales at revealbi.io an email if you want to set up a personalized demo, or of course, send Casey or myself an email, cmcguigan@infragistics.com or jasonb@infragistics.com, and we will get back in touch with you and help you in your Reveal experience. So I'm going to stay online and make sure all the questions are answered, but I want to thank everyone as usual. I know you have a lot of options with your time, and we appreciate you attending today's webinar. We have another webinar in a couple weeks. We're trying to do a webinar every 2 weeks just to keep the momentum going on new features and new things to learn in Reveal. And of course, check out the Reveal YouTube channel for all of the past webinars and all the new videos that we're posting on like how-tos and how to get going with Reveal. There's some good new stuff up there. So thanks again, everyone. We really appreciate it. Have a great rest of the week, and we will see you at the next webinar.